It's the casual nature with which he lies or the frequency with which he
Businessman.
lies. But it's becoming a pattern and a disturbing trend with Liberal leader Mark Carney and the fibs he likes to tell because they are consequential. Hello, I'm Adrienne Batra. With me are Warren Kinsella and Brian Lilly. Warren, of course, is joining us from Israel. And it's beautiful where you are, Warren. So you weren't here when this story started erupting. The most recent Mark Carney lie was with regards to his phone call with President Donald Trump a couple of weeks ago.
Ooh.
He's talked
That was so funny when he said that the phone call was very productive and blah 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 blah, and then we got slapped with more tariffs, right? And look, what is it, about a month later, and we're still paying automobile tariffs, and no deal has been done. I mean, to be fair, Mark Carney said that he's gonna sign the deal after elections, which is still kind of crazy to me when the active prime minister decides that the Canadians can face more tariffs that will obviously affect their wallets just for him to get elected, right? Like, why? Why do you need to wait a month until you deal with the situation when you already had a phone call with President Trump and you said that it was very productive? That's really, you really want people to vote for you after this? Well, some people will, unfortunately.
about how it was cordial and this and that. But then we find out, of course, once again, Trump brings up 51st state and all of the rhetoric that had really put a lot of pressure on Canada and scared a lot of Canadians. Mark Carney didn't tell.
I mean, come on, people. 51st state, it's joke. It's like a trash talk in sport. You're just trying to get under the skin of the other team, right? And obviously, if Canada and their politicians will behave emotionally, President Trump will be able to get better deal. We all know that. Like, it's such all tactics, and like I said, it's like a trash talk in basketball. Obviously, you're trying to get under the skin of the opponent. Like, you can't be too serious about it.
Tell us the truth about that, Warren. Again,
In life, all of us who are parents, and all of us are, there's little fibs that we tell our kids, you can't, shouldn't do. But then there's big whoppers. And this one was a big whopper. And I don't understand it. It's like, Mr. Carney, you're a smart guy. You've got a PhD. When the most powerful person on earth says he wants to take over your country, that's consequential. That's important. That is relevant. And you owe us an obligation as our employee to tell us
Ooh,
that
I love
that
it.
was said.
mhm.
I do not understand why he did not. I mean, because there's a school of thought that every time Trump takes a swipe at Canada, the Liberals actually disproportionately benefit. So, he even had a self interest politically in telling us that this statement had been made by the President of the United States. Instead, he went out, and the readout, too, from PMO, the official statement of the call, kind of minimized it and said it was great, and everybody got along like
Yep.
a house on fire. And like, that was pertinent. That was a relevant thing to let us know that the President of the United States said, yeah, the 51st state thing, I'm still into it. So I don't get it. It was a big one. It was a big bit of dishonesty. And I think, on the final weekend, this is the kind of thing that you need like a hole in the head.
I loved one part he mentioned, and that was that Mark Carney is employee of Canadians. And it's true, and so many politicians, especially liberals, forget about it. Like, you're elected by Canadians. You have a responsibility towards Canadians. Like, you're literally employee. You're not better than Canadians. The Canadians chose you to be their representative, to act in their interest. And with liberals, I always have a feeling like they think they're something better. They think like they're royalty. No, you're literally servant of people. You're supposed to act in our own interest, not in your own best interest. And that's obviously Mark Carney, and he still has his business mentality, right? Like, I wouldn't blame him if he wasn't prime minister. Like, this behavior, obviously you need to behave like this in business to be successful businessman. But if you want to be prime minister of Canada, like, you're responsible for Canadians and for people living in Canada. It's not about your own self-interest anymore. And yes, in his own self-interest right now is to get elected as a prime minister, and then unfortunately continue with his conflict of interest and just making more money for himself and Brookfield and all of that, right? We all, well, unfortunately, we all don't know, because some people just don't read and don't use logic and just like the red color, so they're gonna vote for liberals. That's unfortunately how it works everywhere, right? But yeah, so like Mark Carney, and you see it even with him refusing to show us a report or to disclaim all of his assets. Like, you're going for prime minister, dude. You're accused of having a conflict of interest, and you still reject to disclaim all your assets. All other candidates did it, so why not you? And why isn't it a red flag for people? That's the crazy thing. But yeah, the point I wanted to highlight is that politicians are just the employees. Politicians are elected by us. They are supposed to act in our best interest. So I believe every voter should kind of go into it like an interview. Like, hey, what did you do? Just do the research on that. What did this political party did? What did this political party did? And then choose who you think is going to represent you the best. I know it takes some time of your day, but it doesn't need to be much, right? 10, 20 minutes just to see what's going on, especially nowadays with AI, right? ChatGPT, OpenAI, all of that. You can literally Google, what's the program of liberals, what's the program of conservatives, and you can still make educated decision on who to vote, right? So that's all I want from people. Just make educated decision and or informed decision. Anyway, damn, I'm talking too much.
So, Brian, you have documented over the course of this campaign the ongoing and pileup of lies, misleading, lack of information, maybe but simply by omission. Many of the things that Carney has done over the last few weeks. And it's unfortunate that we come to the end of this election campaign where the vetting of him is starting to come out now, maybe too late. But this is not the first time he's done this. But as I said, these types of lies or misleading the public are consequential.
Look, this is a guy who lies so casually. He's unfamiliar with the truth.
Businessman, dude.
Look, he lied about the song that he used to warm up to as a minor hockey goalie. He was out in an event and they're playing AC/DC's Thunderstruck. He's like, oh yeah, I used to warm up to this as a minor hockey goalie. No, the song came out in 1990 after you graduated from Harvard University. And long after you were playing minor hockey. Like, why does he have to lie about that? He lied about helping Paul Martin balance the budget, even though it's easy to look and say, oh, no, you started working at the finance department in 2004. The budget was balanced in 1998.
I mean, to be fair, everyone lies on the resume, right? I mean, you shouldn't when you're prime minister, but still.
The guy lied about, having nothing to do with moving Brookfield Asset Management's
this was
headquarters
ridiculous.
From Toronto to New York. Things he doesn't need to lie about, he lies about. But even on the Trump call, if you remember, he kept saying when he was first sworn in as prime minister, I will not talk to Donald Trump until he shows us respect.
I'm not gonna say it.
And then we get the call on March 28th. Well, it turns out that he was actually calling Trump on the first day he was sworn in. It's almost 2 weeks later before Trump calls him, and then Trump raises the 51st state. So he lied about the fact that they called Trump and tried to set up a call, and Trump wouldn't return the call. So, I mean, there's nothing that Mark Carney will not
Sorry,
lie about, even when presented. Get the call on March 28th. Call. If you remember, he kept saying when he was first sworn in as prime minister, I will not talk to Donald Trump until he shows us respect. And then we get the call on March 28th. Well, it turns out that he was actually calling Trump on the first day he was sworn in. It's almost 2 weeks later before Trump calls him, and then Trump raises the 51st state. So he lied about the fact that they called Trump and tried to set up a call, and Trump wouldn't return the call. So, I mean, there's nothing that.
Ooh, I mean, I remember I was pretty pissed off that it took 2 weeks for him to call. So if he called him the first day he was sworn in, I'm very surprised about it. But why do you need to lie, man?
Mark Carney will not lie about, even when presented with truth. Earlier this week, he's doing a healthcare announcement, and he declares it a fact that Pierre Poilievre will use the notwithstanding clause to ban abortion in Canada. And one of the French reporters says, well, but wait a minute, here's what Pierre Poilievre has actually said, that he will not do this. And presented with the truth, Carney didn't say, oh, well, but
Jesus, this sounds exactly same like American elections. Like, really? We're gonna go on abortion again in Canada? It's ridiculous.
Fear he will. He said, no, it's a fact. And challenged the reporter. I mean, and he does this time and again. It's unbelievable to me the way that he does lie. And, people like you, Adrian, don't like people like me. You're my boss. You're the editor-in-chief. You don't like terms like liar being used. But there's no other way to describe this. We could get into the theological and say that on not telling us that Donald Trump raised the 51st state, that's a sin of omission instead of a sin of commission.
Right.
But all I would add to that is Mark Carney is a guy who really needs to go to confession.
Warren, it's
Does he? Because it doesn't really look like he's religious, because his values are like either they're all over the place or it's unknown. Like if you compare it to Pierre Poilievre, you know that he's a pro-family guy. That let's not talk about his political goals, political goals. But you saw video of him reacting to dogs, how he treats the dogs, and he obviously knows how to approach the dog. How he treats the kids, he knows how to approach the kids because he has a kids, right? Like he's a family man, and I know people will be mad at me for this, but he's so similar to J.D. Vance. And again, I know Canadian-US relationship right now, not the ideal one, but like we need some values restored back in Canada. And that's what conservatives stand for, right? Like we need to fight for the families, for the starting families, young families. Like look at the population in Canada. How many people have more than one kid? How many people don't even have a kid? And why? Because they're not able to afford it financially. And like that's all thanks to the liberals. Like we need a new generation. Like we need to make sure that the Canadian values and culture and everything will survive, right? And with liberals, it's exactly opposite. And again, Mark Carney, you don't really know anything about his values. Like he's businessman, he's all about money, he's economist or whatever, but that's it. You don't know if he's pro-family or no, if he likes animals or no. I know some of you will be like, well, it's not really important. Well, it is. You want to know if the person you're going to elect as a prime minister is a good person or no. You want to know something about his values, right? And I think we know about Pierre Poilievre that he is a good man. obviously he's still politician, so who knows, but at least we know he's family oriented, and so far he looks like a good man to me.
Similar to his predecessor. We know the other guy, Trudeau, he wasn't
Oh my
very
god,
familiar or
Trudeau.
comfortable with the truth at the best of times. Yet here we are. Carney could, and I still say could, be on the cusp of becoming the next prime minister. And this is just not something I think Canadians have really appreciated or seen much of. It's only been in the last little bit of time that this seems to be all spilling out. And you mentioned that this is the last, the possible thing that you need. Does it matter as we go into just 72 hours before voting day?
I think it does. One of the pollsters did an analysis of what are the motivating factors for voters at this time. Usually, as you guys know, you guys have covered a lot of campaigns. I've run a lot of campaigns. By this point, most people have made their mind up. So you've got that gettable last chunk of vote. And that matters in this race because, according to all the pollsters, the gap is 2 or 3 or 4 points. So it matters. And one of these pollsters said, maybe it was Reed, said, well, people are actually looking at the platforms. They're looking at statements. They're trying to make their mind up. And like when an economist tells a whopper like this one as important as this one, well, then it raises the logical question, the obvious question, well, what else is he telling, a lie about? What else is he making up? Is his platform believable? Or his promises believable? So I was kind of actually gobsmacked by this, that the worst wounds in politics are self-inflicted ones. Like your opponent will labor all day to figure out ways to give you some kind of a handicap, but the worst ones are the ones you do to yourself. And like Mark Carney can't blame this one on the Tories, the NDP, or Skippy the Wonder Seal. Mark Carney did this to himself, and like it just makes no sense. It's like I say, actually, it was in his interest to say, oh yeah, he raised the 51st state thing again, and then he bumps up a couple points. So what does it testify to? His honesty, as Brian has said. I think it also testifies to his lack of experience in politics. Like I used to say to my charges in the war rooms I ran for Kretzy and other people, the truth is like water. It always finds a way out.
I mean, that's such a good point. Like, if he was politician, he definitely uses that 51st state thing, because that's how they base the whole campaign, right? Election campaign, like liberals against President Trump. And he thought about it as a businessman, like, oh, it was productive call, we're gonna strike the deal. But yeah, then he's like, okay, the deal will be after election, but you need to get elected, right? And yeah, the 51st state thing would definitely help him, because again, like they based the whole election on President Trump. And now, last couple of days, you see that they finally have some plans outside of President Trump. But what they did is they literally copy-pasted what conservatives want to do. And it's just ridiculous. Like, you're in power right now. You could have done it and you didn't. So don't tell us that out of nowhere, on 29th of April, you're going to start caring about Canadians when you didn't for 10 years. And I really hope people won't believe liberals and all of these lies. Like, just realize who was in power these past 10 years. Was it conservatives? No, it was liberals. So what's your experience with them? Shitty? Okay, well, don't vote for them again. Like, don't trust them that out of nowhere they're gonna start caring when they didn't care for almost 10 years. And now with Mark Carney, the new face, for 2 months they didn't do anything that would benefit Canadians.
Always comes out eventually. And lying is just a really dumb thing to do, to mom and dad, but also to voters.
Brian, last word to you. Yves Francois Blanchette, the leader of the Bloc Québécois, probably had the most entertaining and scathing assessment of Carney's latest biggest whopper.
Ooh, this is gonna be funny. This guy is always spot on. Like I don't like some of his rhetoric, like Canada and Quebec. Like right now, we are still Canadian province, so like let's slow down a little bit over there. You're still Canadians, but he's always spot on with Mark Carney. Like he doesn't take shit at all.
Obviously, that's in the Bloc's best interest because they're trying to peel votes away from the Liberals in the election. No question about that. But he wasn't wrong in what he said. If Carney wanted to be out there and show that he was the only one that can tame Donald Trump and he's the big man and he likes to, how many times has he suspended his campaign over the course of the last few weeks to play prime minister? He wants to play that role and show that he can do that.
But he
I
didn't.
don't know if people will buy it in the end. It might not work.
I hope it won't. Like, let's be honest. Whoever wins the election, even if it was, obviously that's not gonna happen. But if it was Bloc, right, the Quebec political party, whatever, even if by some miracle they won the election, they're gonna have to deal with President Trump. If NDP wins election, they're gonna have to deal with President Trump. So it's not it's not an argument like, oh, if we will win, we're gonna strike the New Deal. Everyone will strike the New Deal. Like if I don't know, if the kid from the high school gets elected as a prime minister, guess what he's gonna do? He's gonna strike the New Deal with President Trump, because that's what's gonna happen. Whenever you want it or no, you don't need to be Mark Carney to strike the New Deal. So that's ridiculous. And him playing prime minister, pausing his campaign, well, where are some results of that? So you pause the campaign to deal with the state issues. Well, did you deal with them? Because I don't think so. I didn't hear anything. I didn't feel anything in my wallet or anything, right? Like you literally just disappeared playing, I don't know, some video games or something. Well, maybe we should double check his pauses in campaign with I don't know, video game releases or some music concerts or movie releases or something like that, or maybe something even more sinister, right? Some things that has something to do with Brookfield, who knows, right? But it definitely didn't help the state.
Mark Carney wants us to believe. Blanchette was just brilliant in the way he did that, using all the voices. I am the best negotiator.
Oh yeah, he's very animated.
He was mocking.
We should show it.
He was mocking the hell out of Mark Carney. It was great, but you know, we're all doing that. We're all making fun of Mark Carney. First thing, and then a second thing, and thirdly, and then I'll hand it back. I mean, the guy has a very weird way of speaking, but you know, Warren's absolutely correct. Why did he not come out on March 28th and say, I spoke to the President of the United States, and he raised to me the issue of the 51st state, that he wants to subsume us, that he wants to annex Canada, and I told him no. Why would he not do that? That is a
That's so weird
mistake. And, you know, as Blanchette said, Carney wants to pretend he's the great negotiator, that he's great in a crisis. And, well, turns out not so much. So,
Well, that was a big issue, right? During the debate, like he always pretends that it was everything he's done or everything he contributed to was his own accomplishment. It was just him doing with that. It wasn't his team. He wasn't a partner to someone or anything. No, it was all him doing, which is obviously not true, right? The same as a prime minister, you cannot do anything alone. Like you need the party to have your back, the political party. If you're in the minority government, you need some coalition and all of that. So it's never just your decision. And even if his previous jobs, like the governor of Bank of Canada, and oh wait, well maybe that would be a great governor for Trump, right? He was governor once, so why not, right? But yeah, like it's not it's always kind of a group project. It's not just him. Like he wasn't president, he wasn't prime minister back then. Yeah, he could have been president of Bank of England. He was against Brexit. The Brexit happened, so what are we talking about, right? But yeah, it wasn't him at all. Hey Henki, ciao, jak se máš, Henki?
This is, Warren said, a self-inflicted wound. This was a dumb mistake. But add it to the list of other lies. I don't know
Yeah,
how many
he
more
lies all the
columns I can
time.
write about how many lies this guy has told over the course of a campaign. And I know a lot of our viewers and readers will say all politicians lie. Warren can attest to this. That's not true. They will put the best spin on it for themselves. They will put it in the best light for themselves. But most of them are not outright liars. Most of them are just trying to make you feel good about what they're saying. Carney is an outright liar time and again. And he wants us to trust him to run the country. I have a big issue with that.
Well, Canada, the old guy had a problem with the truth, and so too does the new guy, Mr. Carney. So, are you paying attention?
Well,
and will that change your vote
advisor,
in the
right?
next election, which is just hours away? Let us know what you think in the comments below. Like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and go to thetorontosun.com. You'll find commentary and coverage there you will not find anywhere else.
Okay, big point, huge point. All politicians lie. Might be true, might be not, right? I don't know how it's in Canada. Kind of all around the world, politicians always lie. Not 100%, but yeah. The thing is, right now, the biggest thing is, liberals have been in power for 10 years, 3 terms. So with them, I say it in my every video, with liberals you can judge them based on the action, based on past experience, based off what they did for Canada. Was it good? Was it bad? With conservatives, all you have is their promises. So yes, it's politics, so maybe not 100% of what they promise will get fulfilled. But still, like if you're unhappy with the situation in Canada right now after 3 terms of liberals or 3 terms with liberal government, what other choice do you have? You have to vote for hope. You have to vote for change. And that's conservatives. That's Pierre Poilievre. Like, I know right now it might seem like empty promises, but they never really had the power to fulfill it. And in comparison, liberals had that power. And they're promising us right now, if you elect us, everything's going to get better. Well, why does it have to get better? Who was in power? And it's not like liberals were in power for 1 year, 2 years, right? It's almost 10 years. So what BS is that they're telling us, oh, it's going to get better? You can't say it when you're in power right now. And why are you promising it right now? Why aren't you acting on that? Like I said, maybe it was 3 terms with Justin Trudeau, but Mark Carney is in the office for almost 2 months. So he had a chance to make some changes other than carbon tax. He, and not even that, he did 100%, right? He still left the industrial carbon tax, which makes some goods still more expensive. But anyway, he had 2 months to show us that it's not just empty promises, and he didn't do it. He, exactly like they said in this video, he just continued lying and lying and lying. And now he wants our vote. Why? Why would you do that? Why would you trust someone like this?